Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Super League. We are this close to the end of the domestic season, and it could not be tighter. You'll notice it's just me on the screen at the moment. Jens is on his way. Don't worry. There'll be something for everyone to look at very soon. He's just fixing a couple of tech issues, but promises to be with us as soon as possible. And this, for me, is possibly the greatest night of Cmsl action, in prospect at least, I can remember, with everyone playing teams in and around them. I posted a schedule out earlier, Ghost Games permitting, of how we're going to attack this, because just everyone is playing someone near them, and I cannot wait to see how this ends up. This could be late drama. We're looking for red cards, penalties. Everything could happen here. But before all that, I'm pleased to say hello and good evening to the man referring to himself as Ratio in the tag. Good evening, Jens.
Good evening, mate. How are you?
I am very well, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm sorry about the delay. My computer is like 100 years old, and every time I've tried to download these new patches on Champ and all these new things that comes out, I probably download 1,000 different viruses as well. So it's not too easy to be on it, to be honest. But it's working for now. So hopefully we'll keep working throughout the show. Cheers.
And cheers to you too, sir. I was just doing a quick intro there saying how tight the league was and what a great night we have in store for us potentially, with everyone playing everyone. Just a quick word on yourselves. You must be delighted with your season to date. I know you weren't overly thrilled with your initial squad, but I think Duggan's been a big champion of saying, having Dan on board for the draft, and then some of the transfers you've managed to pull off. You've got a really solid looking title contender squad there, and you've shown a fair amount of consistency to stay up in the top half for the majority of the season.
Yeah, it's been, let's be honest, it's been way better than what we expected. As soon as I saw the draft, I realized that it wasn't really a good one for me. So to get the chance to get Dan on board was massive. Obviously, he knows that database and knows the game probably a lot better than me. So that's been working well. We've just been like ticking along throughout the season. Really, we've been solid enough. Never really great, but just solid enough, and we haven't lost too many games. So yeah, better than everything we expected, definitely.
And talk to us about 3 games to go. You're 5 points off top, but just 3 points away from being below the dotted line. So, I mean, every year for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons, we've said this is the tightest we've known it. This is the best we've seen it. This is, without question, the most. No one really can feel that safe. I mean, obviously, Coast and Burn are going to look at that and think that they've definitely got top 6, even without the P next to their name. But there's no certainty they're going to finish in the top 2 just yet, is there? Jens, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm. Can you hear me?
We can now. Yeah, it froze up for a second there.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, it froze on my screen as well. No, yeah, it's really exciting. Very, very close. I also think Coast and Burn are you could put a P next to their name because they should be safe. But from us and down to maybe all the way down to the 2 teams on 31 points would take a lot, but they're not 100% out of it. It's really, really interesting, isn't it?
It certainly is. We have put a bit of a schedule, Ghost Games permitting, for this one. Just before we start, a little message from me. Thank you very much to everyone who sent me a message yesterday wishing me a happy birthday. It was a quiet one, but yes, it was a lovely birthday. And among other things, I was delighted to get some old school chocolate footballs. So that was lovely. But no, thank you for everyone who sent me birthday messages as well. I really do appreciate it. Jens, let's get straight on. Ghost Games permitting, because Greavesy needs to get to bed because he starts work in a couple of hours. We're going to start with Badgers Celtics. This is 10th versus 9th. And although most would suggest that it's very, very unlikely that either of these sides are going to make the top 6, as you just mentioned, it's not out of the question. So this really is last chance saloon for these sides, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It should bode for a good game. I mean, if there were Tato and one of the other managers in the league, it should be a great attacking game because both teams have to win this. A draw is not enough. But unfortunately, it's Greavesy on the other side. Probably stick with his 5 defensive midfield line and go for a 0-0 draw.
Well, let's start with the home side. They have a couple of players missing. So Kamuna played the last game. He's now suspended. Joey Johnson also suspended. But in essence, that's meant that Badgers can more or less go back to their first choice side. So Lasisi comes back into defence. Famani comes into midfield. And other than that, it's unchanged. Yeah,
he's won a couple on the bounce now, I think, as well. I think this tactic or this formation suits him. He got a lot of things I've never seen from Van der Vaart in season 1 at the start of the season. He's calmed down a bit now, but he's got something to build on in this side. I think he's got a couple of great wingers. He's got Van Nistelrooy up front. A couple of young players is only going to get better. So it's a decent side. And if Tato just sticks with a tactic that works and not try to throw in his Fucinis and his Vlahovic's and all of those, then he's onto something, definitely.
I mean, you mentioned Van Nistelrooy there, and the supply to him is crucial. And when you look at the midfield 6, it may not be littered with the players considered the most elite, but it's a very accomplished 6, isn't it? That's very capable of creating that one big chance.
Yeah, definitely. And I also he's only playing the one defensive midfielder as we do, but Kalatze is good enough to do the job there, and Firmani as well when he plays center midfield is going to help Kalatze in the defensive part as well. So yeah, it's a good midfield and it's a good team.
They're going to have to be at their very best because you're right. Greavesy has stuck with the formation he's been playing the last couple of games, and that Zayaleas, Takinardi, Gravison line. I mean, no matter where you look, it's you wonder why that they're languishing a little bit with this amount of quality, because they're three very good defensive midfielders. They've got Maldini and Vrede. They've got, I mean, I know they had to wait to bring in a new number one goalkeeper, but then you look at, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Raul playing centre midfield, but the four across that midfield generally are more than capable, aren't they?
Yeah, he's got a lot of big name players, and he was one of the winners of the draft, wasn't he? But this is just ridiculous, isn't it? And Greavesy, don't come to my DMs try to sell me Raul for Totti when you play him at center midfield. You're ruining the guy. Please. I hope Badgers smash them 4-0.
Well, an early prediction in for Badgers to win 4-0. Thankfully, it hasn't ghosted. So let's kick off game number one. As Rox just pipes out there. Raul and centre mid is certainly one of the more surprising selections of the evening thus far. Well, it's easy to say that on game number one. Badgers 4-0 is the want of my co-commentator here this evening. Let's kick it off and see if that is the case. It's a quick start by the home side. Can they convert one of these chances? Answer thus far is no. Dyer getting involved and Broncos getting involved. Beckham on the other side getting involved. Is there enough support to Shevchenko for the away side? Yellow card. Beckham with a free kick. Van der Vaart now getting involved. I can see Dyer's name quite a few times there in the build-up to another opportunity. De Vaya, the latest to miss. Looks like Badgers have had a couple of chances there. Dyer gets a talking to. And we reach half-time. By evening, I mean season, says Rox. But it looked like quite an end-to-end first half, that, Jens, all things considered. I'm surprised that there's so few chances actually created.
I'm not seeing Greaves' team. It's a lot of text, but it's probably a lot of Badgers trying to attack Celtics and facing that wall of defensive players. Who plays Raul in center midfield?
Well, I certainly wouldn't.
You, Greavesy. Fuck's sake.
Badgers, as the home side, have created them more. Do you think there's we've spoken about all their quality, and you can see in the ratings, it's not a bad performance. They just need that little bit more from some of the big names to really go at this, don't they?
Yeah, they have at least the right players finishing their chances off. Both Van Nistelrooy and De Valle with 2 shots each. I have a feeling if the second half will be like the first, to be honest.
Okay.
Not much to worry about there. A couple of sixes, but they're throwing themselves around, so they're probably going to go up in ratings as well.
Just keeping an eye on my phone for this one as well, because I know that Tato is struggling to get on the chat for this one, but we'll keep the screen up. We'll move over to the Celtics screen, and we'll give him a bit of time just to drop me a message somehow if he wants to make any changes. Looking at the Celtics, there's a lot more sixes there, isn't there? Takinardi having to work very hard in the middle of that free. Vrede as well at centre-back. But Maldini there rating a 5, something you don't see every day.
Looks like the 5 is a little bit harsh, but maybe it just hasn't been too involved. Vrede has done a lot. 7 tackles, 6-1. But I mean, I don't think he cares too much about the ratings, to be honest. If you set up a team like this, you just want to shut your opposition down, and he's managed to do that for 45 minutes. So he's just going to hope to hang on, I think.
Ian says, who plays Raul in centre mid? Someone who thinks Sagalko for Edgar Davids is a good deal and would do it again. That's who.
Yeah, I saw him Could you click Shevchenko, please?
I can.
If that's possible. Thank you. So 9 goals in 22 games. I saw Greavesy posting and bragging about that, saying, I don't need more goals. But Greavesy, if you still had Sigalko, you would have had that 50 goals he scored for Northern Burn.
There's a reason Celtics are in last chance saloon, as I described it, and Burn are comfortably in the top 6.
Yeah, that deal just changed the whole narrative because Northern Burn didn't have a good draft. And Celtics had a really good draft, but that deal made all the difference.
Crazy said Maldini on a 5 for missing one header, keep as is. Steve Wright said it before Ian, until last save Maxim was shite in the league. Fyfie will vouch for it. He tends to have 1 good season, 2 bad seasons, I would say.
Well, he scored 1,000 goals last save for Ian. And even though I played him in a 2 and I sold him, I shouldn't have sold him. I should have kept him and sold Van Nistelrooy instead, but he still scored 1 goal every other game. And he had 100 goals for Ian last save, so why? Fucking hell. Sorry, mate.
It's all right. I've had no messages of any description in relation to Tato, so we'll carry on to 60, see what happens. 52 on the clock. It looks like the away side have maybe started the second half a little bit better. We've reached the hour point. It's a corner kick, 2 Badgers. I look at Vialli there, rating a 9. Working very hard defensively. Again, the ratings aren't poor, but you're just looking for maybe Agerhauer, Van der Vaart, possibly even Kieran Dyer, just to up their performance levels a little bit to give Van Nistelrooy and De Vaio that little bit more, aren't you?
Yeah, completely agree. Vialli is having a great game, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got Rocks here in the chat. Ian saying Sigalko is the best goal scorer on the game, Steve. Rocks, I admire Greavesy for selling Sigalko in the same way I admire Pete Best for getting fired from the Beatles before they got famous. And Steve and Ian continue to discuss the merits of Sigalko. If you were in charge of this Badgers team with everything that's in stake, or at stake, I should say, 3 points an absolute essential for both of these sides, would you be changing anything? You know, I mean, Martin Palermo's there available on the bench.
Yeah, I'd definitely hook. I think I'd hook Firmani and put Palermo on. Play 3 up front and put Agerhauer on the wing and Van Bronckhorst centrally. Go for it.
Nice.
There's nothing to lose now, anyways.
I'd very much like to see that. In the meantime, let's have a look at Celtics. Still very much the same. I mean, Vrede there rating a 9, Takinardi up to a 9 as well. You're looking at the supply. Beckham and Jorgatos as the wingers. You're looking for more there. Raul is playing way out of position, so you expect his low standards.
Yeah, but Takinardi and Vrede keeping him in the game. I'd honestly, even though it's Greavesy, and I like you, Greavesy, so it's no, I don't mean to give you that shit. Even though it's Greavesy, I think he's going to try and go for it as well, because the draw won't help him anything. So put Raul up front and give it a go, mate.
Wow. Well, you're going to love this. Raul is being sacrificed for Delivia.
What?
Greavesy needs a win. He goes more defensive.
It's fantastic.
And the thing is, you know it's going to work for him as well.
Yeah, there's a Delivio winner incoming in the 90th minute now.
Nothing of any description from Tato, so we will carry on. Doubling down, I like it, Greaves. Mac also said Delivio is a DM. At least another chance for the home side. Here comes Celtics, and it is Delivio! Oh my God, Delivio scored! What on earth? A masterclass from the manager. But this time we misses a volley. You just love this. It's 2-0. Unbelievable. It's the 100th league goal of Shevchenko's career. And what a time to score it. Maka loving this in the chat. But Broncos of the corner. Vrede heads clear. It's another corner. Nothing comes of that. Badger's running out of time quickly. It's a yellow card for Davids. Free kick awarded. Van Bronckhorst lines it up. Off the wall, it's a corner, which Davids heads clear. And Edgar Davids picks up an injury on 81 minutes. It's got to be Baldini, hasn't it? And go even more defensive, surely.
Yeah, surely. And drag him down to centre-back as well.
So what have we got going on in the chat while we wait for Greasy? So Macca laughing, and then says, piss off Tato, karma. Dimble saying, oh, it's going to be one of them nights, isn't it? Greavesy saying, shh. Swan saying, the spirit of Loco, season 7. Rob saying, absolute textbook Greaves. Rock Greaves saying, Greaves, absolutely tremendous. Duggan saying, classic PRG.
You know what Greaves is?
Go on.
Greaves is the region of Otto Rehagel, the coach that won the European Cup for Greece. It's exactly the same guy. I'm sure Big Otto also did the helicopter spin for his wife whenever Greece won. It's just ridiculous. You know what? They're gonna get the playoff spot as well.
You're saying it now. You're going on record that Celtics get a top 6 spot.
They're gonna penalty shoot out their way to the final as well. Fucking Greaves, mate.
Baldini comes on and swaps places with Takinardi, so they just put even more steel in that team. Here comes Van Bronckhorst. Agahawa, Zayaleus gives away a free kick. Van Bronckhorst hits it, deflects off the wall, and Takinardi manages to clear. We are inside the final 10 minutes. Have Badgers got a late rescue in them? Dyer, save, can't hold on to it. But Beckham clears. Zayaleus, and it's out for a throw-in. Edwards joining in. Fucking Greaves, fucking Greaves, he says. We're into injury time. Beckham uses his skill. Delivio, Jorgatos. Now Dyer, Van Nistelrooy. Agahawa runs onto it, but Taibbi with a save. He looks rock solid, it says in the text. And full time of game number 1 finishes Badgers 0, Celtics 2, and that has to be the end of the Badgers' dream, doesn't it? So they couldn't get past the Great Wall of Greavesy and somehow conceded 2 goals at the same time. They gave it everything they had, Badgers, but just didn't have enough in the end.
No, just gotta hold my hands up and say, well done, Greavesy. Because Badgers were in great form as well. And even though the stats look... I mean, it was a close game. Badgers should probably have scored once, twice. But yeah, that's just well played and a good Delivio sub. Getting Raul away from that midfield obviously did the trick. And Taibbi is a massive signing for him. I don't know if it's been really good for him, but I tried to get him before the season, and I think in first couple of seasons is one of the better keepers in the league. So that's a good deal.
Ryan saying that Delivio goal is a Super League classic. Things you love to see, says Hodgie. Potatoes getting some abuse in the chat tonight. Let's have a look at the Badgers team first. Esteban pulling in a... I mean, the ratings aren't actually that bad. They just could not find a way through.
Yeah, and it's the defensive players getting the good ratings as well. So it's been decent, but more mediocre from the attacking players. 8 shots, the 2 strikers in between.
5 of which are on target.
Yeah, that's not good enough to not get a goal. Expect a Taibbi 8 or 9 maybe.
Even Tato and Dan, who have both managed to join us at full time of game number 1. Let's have a look. Taibbi did get a 9, but Takinardi there with a 10.
It's a massive
monster performance from Takinardi.
Yeah, and look at Vrede as well, and Zelias, even though he's on a 7, he's got, I mean, him and Vrede has got 22 tackles them in between. They've just been throwing themselves around.
This
exactly what Greavesy wants.
I've got to say, this, if anything described a Greavesy team, this is it. Them just all putting their bodies on the line. I mean, even Edgar Davids, who went off injured, he'd won 4 of his 8 tackles. Doing bits in the air as well was Davids.
Yeah, it's a hard-working classic Greavesy performance. Takes us back to the good old local days.
And we did laugh with the Delivio sub. 0 tackles attempted in half an hour, but crucially 1 shot, 1 on target, 1 goal, an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, well done, Greavesy. Now go and get your helicopter ready and go to bed, mate.
Let's move on to game number 2, which we have scheduled as Stanley versus Triple P. So we'll have a look at the away side first. They've got Richie Wellens suspended for this one. They put Trezeguet on the bench in his place. Other than that, the squad is unchanged despite defeat to Celtics last time out. The only thing that they have done is more advanced arrows on the wingers.
Yeah, and it's very hard to comment, to be sensible and comment on Rob's teams, because I don't even know what players he's got, because he's been doing so many weird deals. I don't know, Zidane, who he doesn't even play naturally because he's shite. Who did he swap him with? It was someone really good, wasn't it?
Zidane went to casuals for Malevsky.
Yeah, exactly. And then he brought in the Almeida, who finished his career in the Norwegian league for someone good. I mean, he's a weirdo, Rob, isn't he? He's a really nice guy, really funny, and we all like him, but we all also feel a little bit sorry for him, because obviously he's got some kind of diagnosis or whatever, but I don't know what he's doing, to be honest.
Are you suggesting that Rob's involvement in the Super League is a bit of care in the community stuff?
Yeah, definitely. There has to be something, because I've been wondering about this for a long time. But did he win the cup?
The final hasn't been played yet. He won the semi-final the other day. The cup final will be in a week's time against Gazelles.
Okay, so that could be some silverware for him. That would be nice. He deserves it. I mean, no matter how many weird things he's done over the years, he's been an entertaining guy in the community. So hopefully he'll get his hands on that cup. Regarding the tactic, it's decent. It's better than some of the tactics he's put out earlier this season. It should be an all right team. He also had a decent draft, in my opinion. He's got some good wing backs. He's got Crespo up front. Mackay is good. Couple of decent midfielders. So it's not a bad team. Should probably have got more out of it than what he's done this season.
I would agree. I've been, as you know, I've been very, very critical of Triple P this season, and to see them languishing down in 12th. But then equally, I've been disappointed with how Stanley have gone off the boil completely. They should never be anywhere near 11th position in the league table.
No, 100% agree. I think Bostock they were everyone's favorite after the draft.
They won the league in everyone's test saves and everything. It was unreal, really. Let's have a look at Stanley then. Swan has put the team in again for this one. It's the same tactic as last time, just without the backwards arrows. Fyfie about to get his scrapbook out, pictures of all in the car. No, not at all. Not at all, Rox. So it's the same tactic, just without the backwards arrows on the midfielders. Scally is suspended. So it was Patzazoglu that comes in for him with Song Jong Cook taking the place on the bench. Other than that, it's unchanged. Your thoughts on this team?
A little bit of a crazy unknown tactic, but I like it. At this stage of the season, if you're not in the playoff races, then why not try something different? They were actually really good against us last time. We were lucky to win it. I love that he's obviously Scott hasn't got the time to be 100% dedicated anymore, so I love that he brought Swan in. I think if anyone deserves it, it's him. But yeah, as I said, and it's probably been mentioned at comps during the entire season, but they had a good draft. They started really well, and then I don't know what happened, but Scott made a couple of weird deals, and he started playing the narrow and sticking with it when it didn't go well. So I don't think he's been 100% dedicated, to be honest, because I played some network saves with him, and I've talked a lot with him, and he's obviously knows a lot about the game. So yeah, but it's good for the other managers, because it gives us a chance at the playoff spots if they're not there.
Absolutely. A score prediction, please.
I think it's going to be goals in this one, so I'm going to say 2-2.
2-2. In the chat, we've already got Rob predicting a 4-1 Stanley win. Mac is saying this has got batshit all over it, maybe 3-3. Ryan saying 4-4. Everyone predicting goals. Let's see how long before we get one. Oh, it was nearly inside the first 10 minutes from Triple P. Roy Mackay, it was with the opportunity. Seeing the midfield free for Triple P's names coming up, particularly Petit. Doing well. Dan predicting 1-5. Steve predicting 3-1. Collins with the opportunity. Yeah, definitely got 0-0 now that you've all predicted that. Another chance wasted by the away side. Saeed, Del Piero, Jacques and Del Piero combine. Half-time whistle goes. I mean, chances are plenty. But no goal. How have Triple P not scored with 9 first half attempts? Crespo is fucking average.
Yeah, he tends to be like so many other big names in the game. I've had my time with him as well. He's had good periods, but overall, he just doesn't score enough goals. But Triple P has played a good half here. I think Swan is or Scott. I don't know who's in charge. Has to probably change something up.
Swan is in charge tonight. Collins has had 2 of the 3 opportunities, none on target, and rating of 5. Maybe he's one to sacrifice. Looking at the conditions, there's nothing there of great concern. Ekiog, the only player booked as well. I mean, with the exception of maybe looking for a bit more from Carlos Jacques, everyone's been involved in that half for Stanley, but they've been under a little bit of an onslaught from the away side.
Yes, it's not been really good, has it? I mean, I don't know. Jacques, he actually started the season pretty well for us before we sold him to Bostock. I don't think he's been keeping that up at Bostock. But next season maybe. I think if at this stage, if you're out of the playoff races anyways, and you want to try something, why don't you give Tomadera a go? Why don't you play him alongside Montella? And I mean, if he can do things that he does in the home save, then that's something to bring further to next season.
So the directive from Swan, take the AM, RNL back to wingers, keep the arrows on. So I've kept the wingers, including Jacques diagonal. And then Keane has come on for Collins.
Yeah, Collins has been shite and Keane is decent. So yeah, could work, definitely.
As for Triple P then, let's have a look here. Crespo, only 1 of the attempts fell to him. Roy Mackay has had 3. But actually, there's quite a few players. It's been a shoot-on-sight policy for Triple P.
Yeah, possibly a lot of long shots on in the instructions. It's generally not what you want, is it? You want your attacking players to finish the chances. But he had 9 attempts in the first half, so if he has 9 attempts in the second half as well, then unless there's a massive champing, he's going to score a goal. So I would just stick if I was him.
The thing that I do notice, you look at Mackay, D'Alessandro, Salahamid, there's a lot of players on, like, they're not seeing as much of the ball, so maybe they're being a bit more direct with their approach play?
Yeah, possibly a direct playing style and long shots on, yeah. Looking at Petit there, he's had the 7 is a little bit harsh maybe. He's had a good half.
Yeah, I would say so. He's had the highest number of passes, completed nearly all of them, completed nearly all his tackles as well. I don't see why he's being rated just a 7, personally. No word that I can see from Rob, so we may well just carry on without him. Chat's going on about whether Bostock have a top 2 squad still. Looking, and Ryan saying 2 good wing backs playing centre mid for Stanley.
Who's that? Milevsky and
Milevsky and Patsoglu.
Yeah, definitely.
Rob's saying until 60, so we shall carry on and see what happens in the second half. There's Carlos Shax,
There he is,
who opens the scoring for the
Scots
home
boy.
side. And now, Crespo misses another one. Approaching the hour mark, another chance missed. And it's 1-0 for Oliver Kahn. You can see their rating in 9. He is working very hard tonight.
Yeah, it's just one of the nights, isn't it, where he's going to have a worldie.
Absolutely.
A couple of the other players has gone up as well. Saeed has had a good game, and definitely been more Bostock the second half than it was the first half.
I would say so. Yeah, they look a lot more involved. What do Bostock do here? I mean, as you say, they're a lot more involved this half. They're now winning. Does Swan keep it as it is and look for the points, or does he look to shut up shop a bit more and defend the points?
They're not going to go to the playoffs anyway, so you chug Tomadera on for one of the midfielders and you go 3 off top.
Duggan's saying, Jens, if you could slay Constantinu before our game tonight, that'd be great. DeVio and Jacques tonight.
If you remind me when the game's on, because I'm a bit drunk.
We've got Tomadera coming on for Montella, and that is the only change for Stanley. Rob says right about the goal being conceded. Let's have a look. I mean, the ratings still look quite strong from their perspective. Condition-wise, there's no issues. Maybe Crespo 78%. Crespo 78%. Is he actually working hard tonight?
He's played every game, hasn't he? He hasn't. Since he's in the final, I assume he's played his best team in the cup.
He has been playing a strong team in the cup, yeah.
So he's probably tired. His legs are gone.
Would you be tempted here, maybe to bring Trezeguet on for D'Alessandro, go 2 up top with Mackay in behind?
Yeah, I think I would do that. Either that, or I didn't see the ratings, but either that or one of the defensive midfielders off.
Zidane for Petit.
Will you do the rest of the game, mate? I'm going to have a wee tinkle.
And a forward arrow, Trezeguet for Crespo. Double change it is for Triple P. See you in
1 minute.
Let's see how those changes do for the away side. Yellow card handed out. I'm on with a free kick, deflects off the wall, corner kick. Del Piero off the top of the bar. 15 minutes left to play. Keane Aymar puts it wide. He had a big start to the season, but he's been quiet of late, it feels. Aymar not helping the Stanley cause. Milevsky with a spectacular drive. Tomadera! And that wraps it up surely for Swanee's side. 2-0. And I'm cruising to victory. No action at all coming down here. And might they go for free? Del Piero. Inch perfect tackle. 2 minutes to be added on. Cross is dealt with. And are they looking for a third, maybe? Milevsky looks to his right. Patsazoglu. Aymar. Robbie Keane. Oh, Del Piero offside. But there's the final whistle. Doesn't exist, delete. And Bostock Stanley end up winning 2-0. And look, I mean, plenty of chances created in the game. But as Jens was saying at the 60-minute mark, Stanley very much more involved in that second half. And just showing they had lethal finishes because they created less chances, had less on target. Triple P could not get past Oliver Kahn. Stanley made them pay for it.
Rob said these tin pot clubs only trying against me.
I've just seen that, yeah. More shite. Well done, Swanee. Would be nice to see you have some success rather than Campbell taking all the credit, says Rob. To which Swan just says, game Rob. Despite Oliver Kahn, his rating actually dropped towards the end of the game. Del Piero picks up man of the match for his performance. But just look at some of the numbers the likes of he and Ekiog and Saeed were pulling in there. It's some really good performances.
Yeah, that's the second half was completely different to the first half. Well played. No bad, except for who is it? Collins, yeah, who got hooked in halftime. No bad performances, and just the good second half, and Oliver Kahn made a difference today.
He certainly did. Let's have a look at Triple P then and see where it went wrong. The subs didn't really have the impact required, and Pagliuca just wasn't up to the same standard as his opposite number, was he?
No, he wasn't. I don't know why he's playing. Hasn't he got anything? Nigmatulian, he has to be better, hasn't he? Pagliuca is like 80
I think
years
he's
old.
Nigmatulian's the cup goalie. Oh, he's not even the cup goalie,
He's
really.
got 771 as an average rating. That's
for a bottom of the table club.
Yeah, that's really, really good, isn't it?
I would say so.
But Pagliuca gets to play. But yeah, that's what we were discussing before the game. I mean, you just have to like roll with it, since it's Rob, so you have to expect some weird decisions.
No, absolutely, it's become expected. But congratulations to Swan and Stanley. It's now a fucking DJ, says Ryan. Big win that for Swan as they look to build something going into the new season. Next up, game number 3, we want to go to the bottom of the table 6-pointer as Michael Savage II is now in charge at Asta. And what I'm going to do, because I've just received a message that I need to deal with, Jens, I'm going to mute myself. If I just flash up the Asta team, will you just talk about it for like 60 seconds and then I'll be back?
Yeah. So Astor Athletic, one of the sides that were incredibly lucky in the draft. Alf Bridge, I don't know if you're with us tonight, but you're a decent guy, but you really made a mess out of this squad. Looking at the 11 now, and I know Savage he knows a lot about the game, and he's a quality guy. Always been a Viking supporter, so we love him, of course. And obviously, if you're a Viking supporter, you're extremely intelligent. So I expect him to put the best players out on the field. And looking at the team right now, it doesn't look really good. And it really, really did at the start of the season. So something really, really wrong has been happening here. And the idea is class hasn't really been class this season. So thankfully, they now have a manager that is actually interested in doing transfer deals, and I expect him to move at the end of the season, because he can definitely get something good for him. And there's still a lot in this squad, and enough to be a challenger for top 6 for next season. Who did they play tonight? White Rose? Yeah. Expect them to lose 2-0. Fyfie, welcome. I'm never going to be a chairman, definitely.
You made it look easy. I could hear you chatting away. You did absolutely fine. I saw Steve mention in the chat and flashed up new manager bounce. Cheers, Fyfie. We've been waiting for Mike to get his opportunity. He has taken caretaker charge till the end of the season. And this new manager bounce has come up a lot. You got accused of having it in the last save, even though you never actually got sacked. Do you think it's a real thing? I mean, I know that it's a myth in real life, but do you think it's a thing on Champ about new manager bounce?
Yeah, I actually do. You will be accused of this and that when you're doing well. It's jealousy and it's all that. But yeah, I actually do believe because I'm a believer that morale plays a part, and if you sack a manager when the morale is low and you bring in a new one, it can change the morale in the squad. So I do think there's something in it.
I mean, another question I have, and it's very difficult, because there's 14 teams, and to an extent, much to the disagreement of most, but to an extent, they've all been drafted really good players and then some less good players. Some will argue that some teams had more good players, but everyone got some good players. Astor were tipped as title challengers at the very start, based purely on squad alone. I predicted Rose to struggle, but a lot of people had them well up there because of what Steve had done in the past. Is it somewhat surprising to see these two battling it out to be the least worst team?
For me, it's really surprising, especially with White Rose, because Steve's won it before. Because I know he plays the game a lot and he knows a lot about the game, and because he got a great draft, in my opinion. It's just one of them things. I mean, every save lives their own life, and sometimes you get a little bit unlucky at the start, and it's hard to turn it around. Astor also had a great draft, but with Alf, all respect to Alf, but it's not a big surprise that he screws it up either, because it's been very much a high and low over the last couple of seasons. So I'm not that surprised they're down there, but Steve's got to be really, really disappointed about how the season has gone.
With a new manager comes a new 24, and Mike took the opportunity to swap a few players around. So it'll be interesting, regardless of the result tonight, to see what he does with some of these players. I mean, Davizas hasn't seen any competitive action this year. He's in the first team. He's only seen 2 competitive games. Litos is up. He's seen 1 in a sub appearance. Edmundo back up. Donovan back up.
Does he still have Argel, who he got from me? Is he in the reserves?
Yes, I believe he is somewhere.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. John Terry in the reserves as well.
Yes, I was surprised that Terry was in the reserves. Our favourite Perlo there, Torres there, Carrick. I mean, even their reserves, they've arguably got the best reserve squad.
Listen, I tried for, but with Alf, but he was. I mean, I tried for Torres. I tried for Terry. I think I tried for half of these 24, but he wasn't interested. So hopefully now, if Savage or whoever takes Astor permanently, it will be possible to deal with
do some deals.
I definitely think they need to freshen things up.
Let's have a look at the home side, shall we? They're without key players. Nicky Butt suspended and Vieira injured has meant Steers had to change things. And he's gone with the tactic named, "We will fucking score." I'm less inclined to agree based on these 4 players here. I think, without remembering everyone's starting 11s, if I was to match a 4 versus 4 with every other team, this is arguably the weakest 4 in the league.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree on that. Nikiforenko obviously is one he gambled on. It was absolutely shite for me last save. I've never seen a Nikiforenko that bad. I think he swapped him with Totti, with Scott before the season started, and I understand why, because if you get the Nikiforenko or someone close to the Nikiforenko you will get in the home save, then it's a massive win. But he just hasn't delivered this save either so far. If Steve's got all his best players available, then his back 7 is better than most, if not all, teams in the league on paper, in my opinion. It's just the attacking players that's been letting him down, or he's conceded a lot of goals as well, but on paper his defense look really, really good. Attack not so much. Steve's a great guy, and he knows the game, and he's definitely already planning for next season. So I still expect, with the core of the team that White Rose has, I still expect them to definitely be a challenger next season.
So the situation is, going into this, there is a 5-point gap between Astor and Rose. If Astor fail to win this, they are definitely finishing bottom. What is your prediction, please?
I do think White Rose is going to win 2-0, but I was just wondering, do you know, or does Swanee maybe in the comments know, what's the lowest amount of points assembled in a Super League season?
Oh, it's probably one of my early Devils sides. I think there was one year I struggled to hit double figures. Quite
Right,
potentially.
so this can't be the worst of all
Oh
time.
no, it's still the worst, because don't forget, in the early years there were all sorts of accusations of teams doing stuff that isn't allowed now. So whereas I wasn't doing that, and I was submitting all my teams on bits of paper and a photo. So
Class.
and I didn't have a team tip to win the title either when I finished bottom. So
and it was the good old web wobbing days, wasn't it?
Well, exactly. Terry wore full kit while smashing Bridges' girlfriend, says that. Let's kick this one off. You've predicted a 2-0 home win. And there's one. It's Luca Toni in 5 minutes, opening the scoring. Michael Savage II, not off to the greatest of starts. And the hosts keep coming forward looking for more. Edmundo getting involved. Free kick awarded. It's very close there. Just past the half-hour mark. And now Astor starting to create their own chances. Wasting a number of them, but you feel a goal might be coming.
I think White Rose is going to take
I couldn't miss, and somehow he did. Nicky Ferenko, the latest to miss a golden opportunity. And Swanee's diving in the old version, says Dimble. Half-time, Rose lead 1-0, but Astor have very much been in this.
Yeah, first 30 minutes looked all White Rose, but Astor, in my opinion, seemed to grow more into the game the last 15 minutes. I just realized I've only taken 2 points in 2 games against Astor this season. It's fucking terrible.
Let's have a look at the Rose side. It goes from the sublime to the ridiculous. You see Walter Samuel there putting in a solid performance, rating a 9 at half-time. And Zanoni just in front of him, struggling. Bohan Jordik not exactly endearing himself to the home fans either. There's a funny story from Swanee's historic investigation, says Hodgie. Joe Cole on the bench, Del Vecchio as well. Given Rose a lead in, do they avoid making changes and just keep the options there for the hour mark? Or would you look at some of those low numbers in particular? I mean, look how few touches of the ball Nicky Franco and Jordan in particular have had. And are you looking at Del Vecchio or Cole saying you can come on and do something here?
Well, I think Steve's decided that he's going to give Georgic the last games of the season and really see if he can be something to use going forward. So I don't expect him to be subbed. He's going Johnson. Yeah, that's sounds natural. Joe Cole is one I don't think he's played too much, and is one I'll definitely be interested in if we get another season, which we hopefully do, of the save.
Well, Joe Cole came in from Celtics. He's played equal amount of games. The impact has been very similar. He's worked a bit hard on tackling maybe, but other than that, it's been a very slow season 1 for Joe Cole.
Yeah, it has. I don't know where. I haven't paid too much attention on other teams this season, so I don't know where he's played him. But I'd really like to see him get a shot at left wing. To be honest, same with Robin, who doesn't play tonight. I think he could do a good job at left midfield.
There's a lot of 6s on the Astor screen.
Yeah, that's what we're used to, isn't it? At least NDIA is back on his usual 8. They've seen quite a lot of the ball, to be honest. There's just not been too many good performances from the players from NDIA and up.
So here's the debate, because I know Mike's an advocate for it, between instructions and pictorial instructions, if you like, between getting the individual player instructions correct and his 0 arrows. A lot of people like arrows, and when they're chasing games, they'll have more arrows. Do you understand this 0 arrow policy?
I really, really like it. I think it's nice that someone tries something different. And obviously, I really, really like Mr. Savage. But I don't think I've ever, in my 20 years of playing the game, ever have put up a tactic without a single arrow.
Okay. Mike's leaving it till 60, so we will resume the action. And another opportunity wasted by Astor. And there's a red card. And Dye's been sent off. It goes from bad to worse. They look like they had every chance of getting back in this, but that is very disappointing.
Yeah, interesting to see what he does. It's not much he can do. There's no defensive midfielders in the bench. Torricelli is a wing back, isn't he?
John Acheda is there. He could drop back.
Yeah, he can drop back, obviously. But there's no central midfielders in the... Pires can play central midfield, probably.
He could. But then he is losing as well. So does he keep two up top?
I think he's going to drop Chiesa and drop Gianni Cheda back and put Pires in central midfield, to be honest.
We will shortly find out. Of course, Steve, you were allowed to make alterations as well, being a red card. So get prepared if you can. Duggan said Savage got some mental and dominant results using it across multiple competitions and formats regarding the 0 arrows policy. Bound to be loads of wib-wob, and it would be interesting. They're discussing seasons 1 to 4 in the chat currently.
But this exactly the thing, like this, what Savage does here with the no arrows and getting good results from that. It's because when I started as a assistant a couple of weeks with Thiago before I got my own club, I'd have played the game for 20 odd years, but there's a lot of things I didn't know about the game that I quickly learned in the Super League. So there's a lot of people here with great knowledge of the game, and it's nice just to hang around and get better at it, to be honest.
Mike's got Chiesa off for Pires, leave the rest as it is, not interested in a draw.
Oof.
Steve, any alterations from yourself here? Ian suggesting that Mike might go arrows on everyone and change it completely. That happened on most games I tested for Asta, says Steve. I'm guessing he's referring to Ndai's red card. Steve's going as is.
Part of the regime. That's right, Todgy.
Let's resume the action and go to 60. See if 10 men Asta can get themselves back in this. Or is that massive hole in the defensive midfield going to be too easy to penetrate? Shit, didn't press the button quick enough. 68 minutes on the clock. Still 1-0 to Rose. Walter Samuel's rating that up to a 10. So he's still having to work despite the man advantage.
It's kind of... White Rose's defensive line, they're without Nicky Butt and Vieira tonight. It's absolutely massive. I mean, it's so obvious that he's got to go out and he's got to sell one of his top defensive players to get some attacking threat. And then the team is going to look much, much better for next season.
See, the thing about that is, and I agree in terms of the attacking midfielders, because he's done some bizarre things, Poirier, Carboni, and none of these players did I ever think would amass to like Super League classic players. But he's got Luca Toni, who he had top scorer one season. He's got Hussein, who has been Super League top scorer as well.
He made in my opinion, he made a mistake in that, because that was one save where Luca Toni and Hussein was just firing. It's really, really good. But do you trust them to do that in another save and do that all over again? Then just not top drawer, in my opinion. So I was surprised actually that he went with both of them.
So it's an interesting discussion point. Cole coming on for Poirier, for Rose. Let's have a look at Asta. Salas is there if Mike wants to change things up. Raymer booked 79% fitness. Edmundo struggling as well. I do believe both of those may have played in the reserves midweek before Mike picked his 24. So maybe one of those could come off. But when you've got the man disadvantage, it's a difficult one to balance. Steve saying Poirier's stats are unreal. If he wasn't 35, he'd be a starter stats-wise anywhere.
Poirier is in a home save is really good in season 1, but he's had season 1 now and he hasn't been really good. And after season 1, he drops like a rock. It's
an interesting one when you play some of these older players. How you're gonna? It's like the Maldini effect. How long do you keep him going? And then
Yeah,
he
it
just
is, but Maldini, you can still. I mean, I think you can get a couple or 3 even good seasons out of him. But Poirier is after season 1, he just doesn't perform.
Steve's asking us to click on Poirier, so I will do that at full time for you, Steve. Just waiting on Mr. Savage to decide whether Salas is coming on to rescue this for him. I'll have a
One at the back.
chocolate football. One at
Raymer
the
off.
back.
Salas on. Go on. Come on.
I'm surprised with the amount of centre backs at Astor that Raymer got the nod. Personally,
Yeah, I agree. That's a little bit weird. Is he even a natural centre back, Raymer? Isn't he a defensive midfielder or even a wing back?
I mean, he's got the attributes to play at centre back. But I would probably be more inclined to play him as a wing back.
Yeah, he's got decent wing backs. I mean, 14 crossing even. Yeah, to me, it looks more like a wing back than a centre back, but I don't think I've ever had him. So
Ryan going deep into the analysis by saying he's shite.
That's the Ryan we know.
Where's Mr. Savage gone? Come on, Mike. Your Alf impression is really good in that, but let us know. You need to win
this up front. Jesus Christ.
Here we go. Okay, move Zanetti to the left wing. Oh wait, what's going on here? Move Zanetti to the left wing. Raymer.
Yes.
What, like that?
Go on, Mr. Savage.
Brown on his own at the back.
This is football.
But Sorin is surely wasted there.
No, he's taking Sorin off for Salas. Has to be. And 3 up top.
What the fuck is going on here?
Go on.
Are we adding some arrows anywhere as well?
It has to be. 3 up top, 1 at the back.
Jens is excited.
0 defensive midfielders. Let's have it.
Well, there's not been a third message yet. I don't want to hit OK until Mike confirms that's it.
Zanetti swap with Sorin, he says.
Oh, Zanetti swap with Sorin. Okay, so...
Okay. So you're going to have a left wing back and a left winger.
Well, I'm presuming you're right, and I presume... Oh, shit. I presume Sorin's going to end up coming off.
Yeah, for Salas. Go ahead.
If he hasn't said that anywhere. We can't just make the subs.
Come on, Savage. You have to tell us what to do. Savage been possessed by Alf.
We've got Hawaii Alf from Duggan. Come on, Mike Bridge from
Yes, Salas
to Sorin.
Yes. Salas
okay.
up front.
Salas up front in a 3. So we'll go like that and like that.
That's just fantastic.
Are you like... and then he says, sorry. Okay, we'll go with that, I believe. Let's resume the action. Bring back Bridge, all is forgiven, says Archie. Guerrero, Nicky Franco. Look at that, beautiful, says Duggan. The Aston manager's seat does weird things to people, says Dan. Samuel, Lucio. LF Poulis with a save. Shortix swings it in. Perez heads clear. Zanetti, Salas. Raymer picks it up. But now on the counter come Rose. this one at the back and no defensive midfielders.
It's drizzy weather as well.
And there's Nicky Forenko to make it 2. In truth, Aston never really...
That's a loss.
Fought too hard for it, but here comes Salas. Not giving up yet. Raymer, Jam Cheddar, Ferguson. Free kick awarded. Edmundo's going to strike it. Ferguson with a header. And it's a corner kick. 3 minutes being added on. Raymer picks it up. It's all Aston now. Salas! And they've got one back. Oh, it won't count. Oh, Inzaghi was offside. Edmundo. Jam Cheddar. Samuel gets called over, given a warning, free kick, which Edmundo takes. And it's saved.
Fucking green.
And Tony denied a great goal. Ferguson intercepts the corner into injury time. Here's Salas again. Still Salas, just wide. Well, when it got to 2-0, Asta gave it a good go. But in truth, it was too little too late.
Let's be honest, Astor is going to finish bottom anyway. And what we're going to remember is Mr. Savage's fantastic 10-man tactic the last 20 minutes. That was really, really nice. Well played, Steve. Well played, Savage. That was good to see.
So just looking in the chat, Dimble said, if I'm Steve, I'm squirming here. Doug is saying Samuel's going to end up with a 12. Hasn't missed a header. And then Steve was agreeing with Dimble. And then Dan says, Inzaghi was offside. He is the definition of offside. I mean, the stats would suggest it was an even game. Rose just put their chances away. Let's look at the victorious side, who now know they will not finish bottom this season. Walter Samuel, as suggested, 10 out of 10 performance from him. Day as well, got a 9 out on that left-hand side. Plenty of 8s in the more attacking players, and that's more like it from Steve's perspective.
That's really, 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 really good. But that Walter Samuel performance is just exceptional, isn't it?
Oh, stunning. Absolutely stunning performance.
Yeah, that's just brilliant. And you got a goal for Nikiforenko when he got his attacking players more involved. And something positive to take going forwards.
Speaking of positives going forward, let's have a look at Asta, see what Mike's got. I mean, the ratings didn't really improve at all, but it did look better, didn't it?
It did, but again, this all comes. I don't have control over what players Astor has in their squad, but this comes down to Alf's business, doesn't it? I mean, that Astor draft was really, really good. That 11 you could put out when they got the draft was really, really, really good. And I've seen them start Chiesa, Edmundo, Remer, Giannicheda, several times this season, and they didn't have to. They had a really, really good team. So something's gone really, really wrong there. Hopefully they can turn it around.
I think you're right. Whoever takes over Asta permanently moving forward, I think there's enough within the squad to still do some really good deals and freshen it up. But I do think they have weakened since from where they started.
Well, definitely. And they have players who haven't really performed really well, but still got a big star in the league that they can get a good deal for. And they should definitely try to do that.
Absolutely. But congratulations to White Rose, who win this one. Let's move on to game number 4. And here's where it starts really getting interesting for the top
six. When I go to pee before the interesting part.
Okay. You do that. I'll start the intros. So next up, and this is the one we wanted, Northern Burn at home to 8th place Fulchester. So we've already seen Greasy Celtics beat Badgers, eliminating Badgers. Indeed, Duggan, here we go. So Badgers are out of the equation. Celtics still just about in it. Let's see what Fulchester can do with a very difficult looking game away at Northern Burn. They're without Ambrosini and without Michael Owen. So they line up as follows. Andre comes in goal. Maka has made the change between the sticks. Western Stam continue. Helguera comes in to holding midfield. Let's watch me explode now, says Maka. And then the midfield kind of returns to something we're more used to seeing with Alex and Seedorf on the wings, Raquelme and Davis in the middle. Celtics a point behind Fulchester as it stands. Luis Enrique back in the hole. Squeaky bum time for me, Mike. And Batistuta back into partner Vieri up top. Luis Saha potentially makes his first appearance of the season. He is on the bench alongside Nakata, Valgarin and Abiati. Not even given a squad number yet, but he could yet make a major impact. Doug keeps reevaluating. Do you want me to just hold the table up so you can see how everyone's doing? So Celtics now 34, Fulchester 35, Dragons 36, Gazelles 37, Casuals 37, Haggis 38, Vikings 39. We've got
This
Northern
game
Burn.
is massive, isn't it?
It is huge. Absolutely huge. Hopefully I've saved Doug and type in anymore.
I'd say
Save his fingers.
Yeah, I'd say Burn is qualified no matter what.
Fulchester have beaten.
They have to get a point at least.
Fulchester have beaten Burn this season with 10 men and with Sigalko playing. So all is not lost. And just to reiterate for you there, Jens, the team news. So Ambrosini suspended, Michael Owen injured. So we've got Batistuta and Vieri up top with Enrique back in the hole. Riquelme back where he's been doing damage all season. Ivan Helguera in that holding midfield role.
Macca wrote to me earlier today that John Curtis would have been a definite starter in his team. And he's playing Taribo West and Jaap Stam, and he's got Joseph Algarin on the bench.
Who did he say was going to be starting, sorry?
Yeah, John Curtis? That just doesn't make sense, Macca, mate.
John Curtis.
That dry January might not be as successful as you want.
Macca, we've not even seen the Northern Bird team, and Macca's put absolutely getting bummed tonight. Well played, Edwards. Best of luck getting the second star. Luis Saha getting a squad number at this late stage of the season.
Curtis is class, says Ian. Yeah, he comes good. He's decent season one, but it's not West, Stam, or Valgarin class. Never.
Let's have a look at Burn. Lawson's still injured, but Tomazi is back, and he replaces, I believe it was Zanetti. Yeah, Zanetti in midfield in the only change from the last time out. So Shiotis in goal, Hippia, Montero. Then we've got Carlos and Contra with Jeremy's between them. Fiore and Tomazi, Rui Costa and Kuhl supporting Sigalko.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? With Burn, and I say that in no disrespect. It's about supporting Sigalko because he's a fucking monster. What is that? 25 goals in 23 games in the Super League. Well,
there's your comparison. He's got 25. The rest of the squad don't have 7. They don't have 10 between them.
Yeah, but it's just a, people call him a cheat code, but yeah, he's just a monster, isn't he? And Ian knows that, and he's made sure to just have like a solid, hardworking, decent team in behind him, and obviously that's enough because Sigalko is going to get you enough goals to have great success.
Doug has said 12 of those 25 were against Astor, to be fair. Macca said, Macca being the fuck's sake, here we go, corruption, I'm jacking, etc., etc.
Curtis is better than Light, and Light has been balling in season one, but Light plays in defensive midfield. Curtis is also better than Shane Tolley. That doesn't make any sense, Ian. Come on.
Can I ask you for a score prediction as second place Burn host 8th place Fulchester?
As everyone know, I really, really like Macca. I do wish him well and hope he gets a playoff spot, but I just can't see him beating Sigalko and the rest away from home. So I'm gonna say 1-0 Burn, Sigalko goal.
So I don't normally go in on this sort of thing, but I'm sure Swan will correct me if I'm wrong. Following the Super League for as long as I have and being such a big fan of Macca that I have been for years, I do actually think I put Fulchester would win this in Swan Super 7. This is the sort of game Macca just turns up and his squad. But let's kick off the first half.
Or he calls himself the GOAT. Is it him or Hodgie that's the GOAT? Who calls themselves? They both call themselves the GOAT, I think. But who is the real GOAT?
I believe Hodgie is still a couple of points ahead.
All right.
I think I've lost all track of this one now. But Macca did say something about one win is all he needs. Yeah. I'm not sure what that was. Ryan said 1-2 up the C-suite.
Ryan in the chat now. I am the GOAT.
Indeed. Absolutely nothing happens in the first 20 minutes. Burn on the attack. Sigalko goes close, puts one over the bar. is quite dominated by the home side thus far. Helguera goes in the book. 38 on the clock, another yellow card handed out. Batistuta shoots from range. And there's the goal. Sigalko on the stroke of half-time.
Just unless someone can injure Sigalko, just hand burn the trophy. He's unplayable.
I'm just seeing Hodgie saying Mac is the GOAT. Mac is saying Hodgie is longevity. Fulchester have been very much in that and will probably find it hard done by to go in one behind.
Yeah, but that's why Ian went out of his way to get Sigalko, because you can afford to have tight games, and you know that your chances they're gonna be worth more than the opposition's, because Sigalko is gonna score. But it's nice to see Hodgie and Mac so humble in the chat. Proper humble managers in the GOAT debate. That's nice to see.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the home side then and see what's going on. I mean, it looks all right. I mean, we've seen better performances, but they're against a very good side. But it's quite a professional performance thus far. And like you said, the chance, they've had 4 shots. 3 of them have been Sigalko, 2 of them have been on target, 1 of them's gone in. So their whole game plan is just give him the ball.
Yeah, it's the best game plan you can have in the game when Sigalko is in the form that he is. So Ian is a clever manager, and he's got 2 midfielders capable of shutting down the opposition's attacks, and he's got a solid team around, and he just makes sure that he has Sigalko finishing the chances, and that's gonna get him goals.
Ian going as is for now. Such few touches throughout the Fulchester team. So again, maybe they're deploying something more direct. That all of their shots have been by the front 2, as you'd hope. Vieri 2 on target, Batistuta 1, but failing to put that on target. Riquelme is him and Seydorf are trying. Need a bit more from Alex and definitely more from Luis Enrique.
Yeah, it looks like their center backs and Helguera is passing the ball around and trying to get the ball up to the more creative midfielders like Riquelme, but Tomasi and Jeremies probably stopping them getting the ball further up the field. They're still in it though. It's just 1-0. So there's still hope, but yeah, it doesn't look good for Fulchester, does it?
Macasane roll to 60, so that is what we shall do. Burns start the second half. Quickly look for a second. Yellow card, I believe that was for Vieri. And a banana shot, well saved by Andre. Very Northern Burn dominated second half. It's a free kick to the home side as we pause the game on 63. Wow. Ian's going to be pretty happy with what he's seen in that second half, isn't he?
Yeah, and his wingbacks are playing really, really well as well, shutting down Fulchester out wide. That's massive for him because he's got Montero, Hippe, Jeremies, and Tomasi shutting down things centrally. So getting those wingbacks to play good games is important for him. He's knowing Ian is going to stay as is anyways, and he should, because it's a good team performance.
He has indeed stayed as is. As for Fulchester, you kind of suggested a point. If they could get a point, it's not a bad point and still keeps them in the conversation. But realistically, they do want to win this one just to keep the pressure on the sides above them. Helguera, Enrique, Batistuta, and Vieri all on yellow. Some of the ratings have improved, I've noticed, since half-time. No obvious fitness concerns. What can Maka do here? I mean, I'm looking at that. Nakata's the obvious option, maybe straight swap for Davis, or does he even drop Enrique back and bring on the power of Saha to offer something a bit different?
Well, I'll definitely bring Nakata on for Davis.
That is what Maka's doing.
Yeah, probably Saha as well. But I wouldn't go batshit crazy if I was him, and I don't think he's going to do it either, because he can still get a point, and the point can be massive, and goal difference can also be massive. So if he goes, like, say, one at the back and concedes a couple more, then goal difference is not good enough. So I think it's going to be sensible and just try and make a couple of subs that works.
So Saha has come on. They're just swapping sides. Saha has come on for Batistuta. And as we both suggested, Nakata on for Davis. Let's see if that can prompt something a bit different for Fulchester. Sigalko misses another chance. And there's two. It's Contra with his first ever goal. And surely that all but does this game. As Byrne come forward looking for a third. Sigalko misses another one. 4 minutes to be added on. Are Fulchester going to make some late drama of it? Enrique misses the last chance. And another one too. 6 additional minutes end up being played, but Byrne were just too strong for Fulchester in the end and come out 2-0 winners.
Yeah, well played, Byrne. Hard lines, Fulchester. Still not out of it, in my opinion. Still a chance, but this makes it a hell of a lot more difficult, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they're absolutely still in it because everyone's playing everyone this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Roberto Carlos, man of the match. I mean, it shows you how hard they've had to work. Carlos has got man of the match. Montero and Hippie have got solid ratings as well. Chiotis rating a 9. Shows the pressure that Fulchester put them under.
Yeah, and if you have all your back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your back 6 are all on 8s or 9s, then that's, and you got Sigalko up front, then it's going to be really, really hard to beat you.
Completely agree. As for Fulchester, just looking at their ratings, I mean, Nakata and Saha came on and did have something of an impact, but I'm looking at the starting team, and when you see Enrique and Batistuta and Steidorf even, you were saying about how well the defensive line was for Byrne when the main attacking threats of Fulchester are rating 6s, not really up to their usual standard. This is why they didn't get the result in the end.
Yeah, I agree. Byrne closed them down. They didn't get to as many shots as they wanted on goal, and it's obvious to see that Byrne were the better team, and well played, Ian Edwards.
Absolutely. Commiserations as well to Maka, but it is not over yet. Next, we head to Gazelles versus Dragons.
Oof.
Let's have a look at the away side. So in essence, what we've got here is at the start of the night, 6th versus 7th. Huge game. And for Dragons, obviously they had that absolutely batshit crazy game last time out. They've put in their 2 first choice centre backs for this one. Other than that, they've stayed the same. They have taken the little diagonal off Bowyer as well.
But this is not the team they posted earlier today on Twitter, because that had Radibe on instead of Nesta, I think.
Oh, don't tell me I've done it wrong again. Hang on.
I'm just joking, mate.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Because I know that Duggan had checked it multiple times, and then I checked it multiple times as well. Oh God, don't do that. What have you made of Dragons? Because it's been weird for them. So they went 10 games without a win, and then they won something like 10 games in a row. Yeah, won 10 in a row. Went 10 games without winning, and now they haven't won for a couple of games again.
I think, first of all, I think you got to give massive credit to them, because they've done what most managers in the Super League doesn't have the patience to, because they got a good draft and they have a good team, and they put out a good team and a good tactic from the start, and they were just unlucky and lost games, lost a lot of games at the start, but they managed to just stick with it and have faith in it. They didn't change and chop every other week, and it paid off, and I think that's massive credit to them. And they probably deserved to go on that run, and now they're in the mix, and anything can happen. And looking at that 11, it's really, really good. Constantino is shite. Duggan, you're welcome. Other than that, it's a great team.
Stanislaw is averaging 1 every 2 games, which is, as a strike rate, is kind of what people are looking for.
Yeah, but I was told.
I know, I remember. The crucial thing here, when we've seen some of the other squads already, and there'll be more with the 2 games still yet to come, especially in this round of fixtures specifically, how critical is it to have a fully fit squad available?
Yeah, it's massive. I was eager to look at my pack today as well, because I've also got like 4 or 5 players on the yellow card that they're on a suspension after another yellow. But I was relieved actually to see that I only had 1 suspended, and for Dragons as well to have a fully fit squad is really nice. The only worry is that when a lot of players are on that suspension bridge, that you're a bit worried that a couple of them are going to get the yellow card and be out for the next one. So it's where the 24 comes to play this time of the season, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. As for the home side, then, so Liverani comes in for Arca. I want to say Arca.
Yeah, Arca, yeah.
Yes, Liverani comes in for Arca. And interestingly, Rivaldo and Nedved swap sides.
Yeah.
Now, some people will have an opinion on whether it matters when they're in the middle. I find it interesting that Gazelles have played Rivaldo on the right-hand side for the most part, but have switched him for this game.
They're both AMLC, aren't they? So I don't know. Similar to giving credit to the Dragons, the 3-dick Dragons. I have to give credit to Gazelles as well, because after the original draft, I felt a little bit hard done by. I didn't think I had a good draft, and there was one other squad that I felt were as bad as me, and that was Gazelles. I did not want to swap with them. I would swap with anyone else, but not Gazelles, and they've done really, really, really good things with that squad, and to be in the position they're in at the minute is a massive credit, and obviously really helped by Barthez, because he's a fucking game changer. But yeah, he's gotten the most out of in my opinion, pretty mediocre squad.
It's a very interesting observation. So we go to a crucial game, 6 versus 7. What is your score prediction, please, Jens?
I have no idea, mate, but I think a draw would fit me well, so I'm gonna say 1-1.
1-1, just because it suits you best. Lovely. Gazelles have 1 attack, and then nothing happens for a while. We're already approaching half an hour. But there's Ronaldinho to open the scoring for Dragons. What a big goal that could prove to be. They're trying to put some pressure on to double the lead before the break. Will they get the second they so desperately look for? Gazelles on the counter, though, looking dangerous. Half-time, though. We don't win this, says Dan. And at halftime, you're not winning. Dragons shading it slightly. Gazelle's been in it, though.
Yeah. I don't think it benefits Gazelles very much to be one behind. I think they're set up to be solid defensively and put their trust in Pizarro. Mm-hmm. So interesting to see what Dan does now in halftime, if he changes it up or if he waits till 60.
Well, let's have a look at what they're doing. And it's just 6s and 7s scattered throughout. Nedved, you definitely want more involved. Adilson in his position has to be more involved. Although he is the one taking the shots. But 2 of the 3 falling to him. Condition-wise,
Saviola on.
He is.
That's quite all right, because Dilson hasn't been good, and even though Saviola is often underwhelming, he's got something in him.
Let's move over to the Dragons. No yellow cards at all yet in this game. Their rating's not too dissimilar, to be fair.
No, it's been a tight game. None of the teams has been really outstanding. Dragons probably edging it and got the rewards in 1-0, but the game is still alive, and it's an interesting second half.
Duggan's gone as is. Just before I hit continue, I'm interested in your thoughts on this. Obviously, we know how old this game is, but do you think they programmed it to replicate real life in terms of, do you think that the virtual players recognize the pressure of this game? I know we all do, playing it, but do you think that there's something built into it somewhere that, the reason that no one's been spectacular is because there's pressure on this game?
Well, they put it out in the editor, didn't they? The important matches and the pressure column. So there should be something in it. I don't know. I like to think that, for example, Totti in my team is a big game player because he scores good in the editor. But I don't know. It's hard to tell, really.
A couple of yellow cards dished out.
Point in important matches, but he's going to be the player you would want anyways.
Absolutely. And Dragons coming forward. There's Pizarro. Another yellow card dished out. A couple of set pieces. Another yellow card. We reached our mark at Gazzelle's level. Oh, it's been ruled out. Nedved equalised, but he was offside. Dan agreeing with you. Pressure and important matches in editor. So Nedved scores, but it's ruled out. They do now have 2 yellow cards, Rivaldo and Di Biagio. Rating's still very similar. I think maybe one of the 6s is now up to a 7 from where it was at halftime. Dan really does need to change something here, doesn't he?
I'm not sure, because that disallowed goal means they're definitely in it. If I were Duggan, I would seriously consider changing something, because that's probably just my imagination. But when that happens, it's a sign from the game that change something or you're gonna lose.
So Dan is changing it. Nedved up to AMC and Saviola joining Pizarro as a front 2.
Yeah, that's attacking.
2 weeks in a row with disallowed goals costing us, says Dan. You happy with the arrows have done in there, Dan? I hate a disallowed goal from our team, says Ryan. Arrow off, down, Matt. Especially if we haven't scored. Lovely, thank you.
Good point, Ryan.
As for Dragons, you said they may need to change something. It's a sign from the game. They got Tudor, Sokoviak, Vasilyuk. What would they be changing?
Not much to do here, but I look at Igor Tudor, and I think that's a capable defensive player that can come in and stabilize things. It's not like Gazelles has been running over the Dragons, but that disallowed goal always makes me a little bit worried. I don't know, maybe he stays as is, or he finds a way to bring Tudor in. Gerard hasn't been great, but I'm not sure if he wants to. Yeah, he does. He wants to get him off.
Tudor for Gerard. Go 2 DMs, please, alongside Keane.
I think that's probably what I would have done.
Boner alone, MC Central. So yes, they dug it. Very rare we see any Super League manager make defensive tactical alterations. So interested to see if this pays off, because is that just inviting more pressure on?
Yeah, but at the same time, you get a little bit more solidity in the defensive line. I think I would have done the same thing, but let's see if it pays off.
Let's find out indeed. Still 1-0 to the away side. Another yellow card, Pizarro this time. Ronaldinho, Boya, Tudor, Barthez gets hold of the ball. Di Biagio goes out for throw-in. Into the final 10 minutes, we go ahead. Back picks it up. Skips past Di Biagio. Barthez as well. Boya, back, and another save. Di Biagio gets rid of the corner. Have Gazelles got that one big chance left in them? Rivaldo picks it up. But back's there. Dalmat now. Pizarro. Free kick awarded. Mendieta to take. Deflects off the wall and into the keeper's hands. 5 minutes plus injury time to play, of which there'll be 3 minutes. Heading towards those 3 minutes now. Nesta with the ball. Boya, Keane, Ronaldinho. Free kick awarded, which Ronaldinho will take himself. Stanton can get onto it. Into injury time. Is there late drama? Saviola. It's gone out. Di Biagio. Liverani. Oh, it's so close. And there's the final whistle. Massive win for the Dragons. And the game ends 1-0.
And Nesta, there, whatever bad ratings he had at the start of the season, that's why you want him cutting off that last attack.
Absolutely. Big result, says Ian. Oof, says Tato. Gazelles, they weren't at their absolute best tonight, it's fair to say. But they just built up a little head of steam at the end there. You thought that if they'd done it maybe 5-10 minutes earlier, built up a couple more attacks, they might have forced that equaliser.
Yeah, definitely they were in it. I've said from like mid-season that Gazelles and us ourselves are going to be the ones dropping out of the top 6, purely based on their squad. Nothing against Dan. I don't think their squad is as good as other squads. They're still in it though. It's not over, but that's a massive blow, isn't it?
The issue for them is, even though they conceded a lot of opportunities, they did only concede 1 goal. They still look quite good defensively. It's just they don't supply enough in attack. I mean, if you look at that, over 90 minutes, Pizarro, their main striker, 1 shot on goal. Saviola's come on for 45 minutes, no shots on goal.
I think it's a balancing issue for Dan and Martin because, yeah, they're good defensively and Barthez is obviously brilliant, but they set up the team to be defensive and to be solid, and that's worked for them. So they can obviously move one of the midfielders up to AMC, for example, but is it going to benefit them more than it's going to cost them defensively? It's hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Ronaldinho, the match winner, picks up the man of the match award. I've said hundreds of times how I feel a game's gone if a player of an 8 rating gets man of the match. But it's a very solid, very well done job. The centre back's still not getting huge ratings in this Dragons side, which seems a little bit unfair. But very solid, professional, and well done job from the away side.
Yeah, and if that's a 7 for Nesta, then that's a massive performance from Nesta, in my opinion. That's at least
I agree.
Maybe a 9.
I agree. That's a solid performance.
I think it's a massive win and it's a massive statement if you go away to one of the other contenders for the top 6 and you win with 3 games or 2 games to go. Then, yeah, that's really, really, really good.
Keown has been an unsung hero, says Doug. A huge result for Dragons. In answer to your question, Ryan, with Dragons being the team in 7th at the start, I would say it certainly makes it harder because the points gap is different, but it would have been a lot harder had Gazelles won. It's really the likes of Fulchester and Celtics needed this to be a draw. In all honesty,
Tudor had an impact as well coming on. That was a good sub.
Absolutely. And the one that you pointed out ahead of time. We go to our penultimate game, which is this one on the screen. Casuals hosting Haggis. So this is 4th versus 5th. Going into this one, Woodgate injured. So Okoronkwo comes back into defence to partner Ferdinand. Simeone back from suspension, comes back into partner Michelini. And then apart from that, this sort of attacking 6 here remains as is. Could Haggis, in your opinion, be the... It doesn't look likely that they will finish in the top 2. But have they shown enough, particularly in recent weeks, to suggest they could be one of the few teams to retain a title, but also be the first to win it from outside the top 2?
I think it's really, really, really difficult to win it outside of the top 2. I don't think it's ever happened before.
No.
Because of the way the playoff is set up. But they've looked really, really good from, I don't know, 5-6 games in the season until now. They found a tactic that works. They got decent players and they got some really, really, really good players. And in this game, it seems like sometimes that's the recipe, because the decent players will just do the job and that will be enough for the really, really good ones to shine. So yeah, they're definitely a massive threat to everyone and a really, really good team.
A few teams. Who are these teams that have retained? Just one that no longer exists, I'm afraid. As far as I can remember, they're the only team to ever retain. Sander Westerveld continues to prove that you don't need to be like a Buffon or a Khan to be considered up there among the best. He did it in the previous save. He's now at a different club doing it again. What is it about him?
He has to be for the next, whenever the next redraft is, if it's years, but he has to be regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the league, because from the moment he started playing in the last save as well, he was absolutely unplayable, and it's been that this season as well. And having a goalkeeper like that it just makes a massive difference. It's the same with Barthez in Gazelles. Probably gives you like 6-7 points.
I would agree. And I know from history that, well, you have specific history with Westerveld that likes to come up. Let's have a look at the casuals team. They're without Zé Roberto. He picked up that knock in the last game. Thuram not fit either. So that leaves them lining up like this. So it's Buffon in goal. Company and Ayala have become the first choice pairing, as has Cambiasso and Soroczynski. We've got Zambrotta moved over to the left with Emerton on the right. De Corveron, Cassano is supporting Cliver. And it's that AM position which Hodgie seems to rotate every fixture, a different player. But something else I noticed when I was putting the team together, I said it about Tato a few weeks back, but that is one hell of an attacking subs bench he's put together for this one.
Yeah, there's only attacking players there. Yeah.
Yes, a goalkeeper and essentially 3 strikers.
That's good to see. I mean, he's got both wingers can play wing back, and Emerton can play DMC. Daku can go back to DMC. So it's no Soroczynski can play everywhere. So I understand why he does it. That's the luxury of having versatile players.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why he rotates the AMCs, because that's the one position where he's not really doesn't look really, really strong. Other than that, I think overall his team looks really, really, really good.
No, I would agree. No, yeah, that's the thing. And it's like you said about Dragons, it's one that he's stuck with throughout. So I did notice when I pulled up the graphic about how both sides have done over the course of the season, Haggis have steadily been moving up, whereas casuals have been a bit erratic all over the shop. So it's about finishing strong, I think, for them. Excellent. It's all gone to plan. So, penultimate game. Can I ask you a score prediction, please?
Love the Haggis away colors. Really, really hard to make a prediction here. It could go anywhere. I'd say a 1-1.
1-1. Reluctant 1-1. Very quick start from the home side there. Attempt in the first minute. Yellow card for Simeone inside the first 5 minutes. That can only lead to one thing, surely. There's another yellow card, I think this time for Zambrotta. We're only just 10 minutes into the game and so much has happened already. Jimenez has an opportunity. Zambrotta now. Kluivert. Oh, Westerveld with a save. There's offside. Ayala gets booked. So much happening, it's hard to keep up. You don't really know who's on top. It looks like the home side maybe just shading it as we approach half an hour. 3 minutes to be added on, which have now been played. And somehow, that's finished 0-0 at halftime.
That was intense.
Look at there's more attempts in that first half than in some games.
Yeah, great half. I'm going to let you handle it because I have to pee. And I'll be
what I
back
like,
again.
No worries. What I like about this is we were saying about pressure of the occasion between Dragons and Gazelles. This is just two teams just throwing everything they've got at each other, trying to get a win. A very entertaining first half, that is for sure. That looked like a ridiculous amount of text just in the first 10 minutes. It certainly was. I mean, look at this. First 10 minutes goes all the way to there. That was superb stuff. 12% headers for Haggis. Indeed. Let's have a look at Hodgie's side first. Buffon, obviously having to make some saves. He's the pick of the players. Other than that, 6-7s, Emerton and Decor definitely need to get more involved in the game. Looking at the Cassano there, is he supporting Clive. He seems to be doing a fair bit, so definitely involved. It wouldn't surprise me if casuals went unchanged for the second half. Fitness-wise, no concerns. Ireland and Brotta, the players in the book. As for Ian, Simeone picked up that very early yellow card. Ratings very similar, although Michelini continues to excel and impress. The only outfield player rating an 8. Westerveld matching his counterpart. Comandini for Kluivert is an interesting change for me. But there we go. That change is made. Huge call from Hodgie. And we just wait instruction from Ian. Go to 60, please, mate. We will do that. Certainly. Let's resume the action while we wait for Jens's return. As Jens does return, I will fill him in on everything that's happened in just a moment. Oh, a yellow card for Scholes. And we stop on the hour. So, Jens, we've reached the hour mark. And the interesting half-time, just one change. Casuals brought Comandini on for Kluivert.
Yeah, that's worked before.
Haggis went
He did the same
unchanged.
against me, and he got the match-winning goal. If Kluivert were Sigalko, if you knew Kluivert would score 20 goals a season, then this casuals team would be amazing.
Yes,
But
I agree.
It's that AMC and striker position that he's been not too sure about, and that's what's made casuals be in the playoff chase rather than being in the top 2. Is it 0-0? Yeah, it's 0-0.
It's still 0-0, yeah. Hodgie's gone as is for the rest of the game. Let's have a quick look at how... rare in recent times to see the trio of Jimenez, Recoba, and Rossini all rating 6s. Maybe
You'd
something...
definitely bring Shearer on now, wouldn't you?
Shearer is definitely an option. Good formation, that Hodgie Sestata. Simeone still avoiding that red card despite picking up the yellow inside 5 minutes. And it is Shearer on for Jimenez.
Yeah, I'll do the same, I think.
Is there a place for Figo, do you think, to swap this around a little bit as well?
I don't know how Madawikia has played, but if he's been not really good, then maybe at right wing.
Makarovic himself is
he's an
rating an 8,
8.
so he's having a decent performance.
AMC for Recoba, maybe? I don't think he will.
No, that is all the changes. So let's resume the action and see what happens here. Another yellow card. High stakes game, this. Chances flying everywhere. But just maybe slowing down a little bit. Michelini, a yellow card, another yellow card. Scholes with free kick. Buffon saves well into the final 10. Are we going to have a nervy ending? Absolutely nothing happening. Considering the start that was made, nothing happening towards the end. 3 minutes being added on. Heading into those 3 now. Is there going to be late goal? Zambrotta. Klompy picks up Veron. Good tackle. And on the counter, maybe Shearer. Rossini. And Shearer again. Giggs.
Ooh.
Still Shearer. And finally they tackle. And the game ends 0-0. Wow, that'll do for everyone else, I think.
That's the best, probably the best 0-0 game I've seen.
Considering the first half, the second half was lacking any real action.
Yeah, but it's a good game. Two teams really, really solid, and they both got to be not too unhappy with a point because it keeps them in the mix.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's have a look at the casuals team first. Solid range throughout. Decor there 6. Kluivert came off at halftime on 6. His replacement Comandini got 7. But so few. Like he never had any attempts. Cassano only had 1. The shots just not falling to the right players.
Well, Kluivert had 3 in the first half, but he obviously didn't do anything with it. Yeah,
Two have been attributed to Klompe, so I imagine they were headers from set pieces.
Yeah, and looking at the ratings, it's a solid performance, but not great enough to win the game.
San Vesterveld rated a 9. Michelini picks up another Man of the Match award. Cavitudis pleased with that, says Ian. I completely agree. If his strikers had maybe been on the form that they've shown in recent games, I think Haggis may have been coming away with a win there.
Yeah, but at the same time, if Sander Westerveld didn't have another worldie, then Patrick Cloyford would have scored one of his 3 shots.
Yep.
So it's they can both be. I mean, they can both feel it's all right with a point here. It's a tight game, and both could win, but both could also lose. So the point is decent for everyone.
And that brings us to our main event. We have top of the table Coast hosting visiting third place Vikings. No Sol Campbell, no Kevin Hoffland, no Cordoba for Coast. And Jens, when you see those 3 missing, you must automatically think your chances have improved.
Yeah, they're improved, definitely. It's still a decent centre-back partnership, though. It's got some depth in the squad.
Coast have altered their tactics slightly. So normally they play with wingers, but I think because of the defensive absentees, they've dropped the wingers back to wing backs to offer that little bit more stability.
Yeah, it sounds smart. I still think that centre-back partnership looks quite decent. And a good duo in central defensive midfield in front of them, so they're not going to be easy to break down. I think where we can get an advantage in the game is in central midfield, with Mark Kerr playing. I know he's been really, really good, but playing solo against 2 central midfielders it can often make a difference. So hopefully we can take an advantage of that over number in midfield.
The consistency of Coast, I mean, they've been top now for a few games. They've been in the top 2 for, well, largely the most part of the season, really. Dimble came close previously. Is this his best opportunity, do you feel?
Yeah, definitely. He's right up there. He's number 1 currently. And he's got a good side, but he wasn't anyone's favorite, but he's been proving himself since he's come into the league that he knows what he's doing, and he gets the best out of the squads he's got. So yeah, massive credit to him, and I expect him to be in the top 2 come end of the season.
Gamara, the only player missing for you, he's suspended. I'm just trying to recall. So your alterations, see Mike Duff, he's fit again. He returns on the right wing. Etsabaria goes back between Smith and Mpenza. Other than that, unchanged.
Yeah, we've been trying to not chop and change too much this season. I don't think we have one player in the. Desai maybe because he's in the tackle percentages or whatever it is, but
I remember you put in the chat a few times that in all of the lists you have no players inside like the top 12 or whatever for anything.
Yeah, no one. I think Desai maybe in the tackles or whatever, but no one has been really, really, really outstanding. But we've just been kind of solid all the way out, and we're trying to stick with what we got, and hopefully it can get us in the top 4.
Well, let's see if it can. As a tradition, I won't ask you for a prediction, but I will wish you and Dimble the very best of luck for the final game of what's been a fascinating night of Super League action. Let's see how this one pans out. Fine save early doors. The home side trying to mount some pressure in the opening exchanges. Smith gets an early yellow. Anelka, though, says you have to keep Anelka quiet. He's been up there with Sigalko almost goal for goal for the most part of the season. So it's a difficult balancing act between continuing to attack and just watching that threat. Vikings certainly applying themselves in this one. Forcing a couple of good saves from Toldo. Smith denied a great goal, approaching halftime. Sylvester goes in the book. And there's half time. 0-0. Before I click on the stats, Jens, it looked like your side performed very admirably there.
Looked quite even. Yeah. Looks like a decent half, but it looked quite even to me. I don't know. I'm pessimistic in nature. I'd say if we get a point, it's good. But considering East Coast's defensive absentees, this is where we should take advantage.
Well, let's start with Dimble's side. Look at Toldo. I mean, we talk about how good Anelka's been, but this is the difference between set of sides. He's got someone who's done it at the very top end of the pitch, but when it's not quite clicking, someone very capable of doing it at the other end of the pitch.
Yeah, he's one of those. I mean, it's Bartes, maybe Westerveld, and him and Khan. There's a couple of goalkeepers that you just can rely on them, especially in the big games. And Toldo is one of them. I'm not confident at all looking at that. I can see Anelka getting a chance and scoring a goal, and Toldo just being a brick wall.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at your side then. And I mean, a couple of sixes in there. You got a lot of sevens. Totti, though, is doing his best to influence.
Yeah, Totti's been really, really good since we brought him in, especially the last games. Looks like he's thriving in that central midfield. I do think I'm going to stick till 60 as well.
See, I've got to ask, because if we go right back to the start of the evening, you made a comment to Greavesy saying, don't come into my DMs asking for Totti if you're going to play in centre midfield because you'll ruin him. And you've had him play in centre midfield quite a bit, and he's performing really well.
Yeah, at least he's performing more than decent. I played him at the AMC as well, but Exeberia has been in a really good form lately. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look at those last 5, that's quite decent.
Yeah.
So the only place I could really play him in this formation is central midfield, and he's been doing well there. Totti can play there. Raul is a striker. That's
the difference.
Yeah, I'm going to stick till 60, mate, and
you're going till 60
we can
as well. Lovely. Let's do that then. Both sides sticking till 60, and Penza missing another opportunity. Toldo with save after save, it appears. Can Vikings make one? Oh, fucking hell! All the time flies by, and there's the goal, and Penza. Oh, it's been ruled out. Etsabaria was offside. Well, and Penza's been criticised by a lot of co-commentators for not getting the numbers this season, and there was his chance to really make a name for himself on the campaign, and Etsabaria being offside keeps this at 0-0. 20 minutes to play, and you said a point would be a good point for your side, but are you going to tweak anything here just to try and get the free? I mean, you look like you're still the more dominant side, to me personally.
Yeah, but disallowed goal is never good, is it? I think I'm usually chatting with my assistant for this, but since I'm on comms, I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm just gonna swap Bart Gore for Voldenkov, and that's it.
So we've got Bart Gore coming off, Voldenkov coming on. Lovely, thank you. Little message for you there, just while I confirm that.
Yes, Tuborg is cheap and it's decent enough. That's right, Duggan.
Ryan saying change your tune on disallowed goals, Jens.
Fuck off.
Because Toldo continues to basically be the star man here. 9 rated, just saving so many opportunities. Can't rule out Balmer's performance either, rating an 8. No one on cards, no fitness issues. I wouldn't be surprised, just to see as a bit of a rogue substitution, Didier Gat come on here. We know sometimes Dimble will roll with him instead, so be interesting to see if he was to come on instead of Larson, who is more missed than hit, let's be honest.
Did a good job for me. I got in the playoff and chasing up to the playoff in the last save in the last season, where I played him at DMC with the arrow out wide. Good player.
Duggan's got a
And I
feeling
agree
there's
with
an
Duggan.
Anelka sucker punch coming.
Yeah. It stinks of an Anelka 1-0, Toldo a 10, and Vikings out of the playoffs.
Everyone who's losing says they're out of the playoffs. You can't all drop out. Here we go. So we've got MDS. Oh, interesting. So we've got MDS off for Larson. Swap him with Petkov. Forward arrows on both. And then that will do. So he's gone attacking.
Don't like that.
Jens does not like that. Let's see how that changes things. Volodenkov now. Doing it alone. And then Penza Smith. Ortega gets in the way and it's a corner. Esperia takes it. Bishkan heads clear. Petkov now. But Costanzo gathers the ball. Goes out for throw-in. Ortega on the right wing. Costanzo again gathers. Volodenkov. This time they manage to retain some possession and they come forward through Walker. Totti now. And Penza. Warnes gets in the way into the final 10. Into the final 5. Esperia. Petkov. Desai picks it up. Fourth official says it's going to be 4 minutes added on, which we're into now. Baumer coming forward. Ortega, well over. One last chance, maybe. Throw in, which Duff takes, Volodenkov. Smith! Oh, he's missed the target. And now going on the counter, it's Larson. Free kick, yellow card. Is there time to take it? Vogel takes it. Costanzo goes out for throw-in. And there's the final whistle. This one ends 0-0 as well. Do you view that as a wasted opportunity, Jens?
Go lay down, Mama. Sorry, mate. 1 second.
That's okay.
My son is awake.
No problem.
Go lay down, Mama.
So Vikings, it was who certainly were in the ascendancy for the most part. It did look like Coast could end with some late drama, but Vikings held out. And I mean, if looking at it, if it was me and I was Jens, I'd be a bit disappointed. It's a good point in the grand scheme of things, but I'd be disappointed. Cosmos and Byrne, both with the first cues of the season, indeed. Let's have a look. I'm going to guess Toldo, man of the match, solid ratings throughout for Vikings. They probably did. Bad night for Fulchester and Gazelles. Everybody else okay? Says Darren.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right, no problem at all. Just saying, you would have probably taken a point before kickoff, but the match stats, I would be kicking myself that we hadn't won, and ratings-wise, it looks fairly solid.
Yeah. Getting a point against Coast is good, but we probably deserved more, and
almost certain Toldo man of the match.
Yeah, and I'm almost certain.
Ooh.
Ortega. I'm almost certain that Desai is at least Desai. He's suspended for the next game as well. So he's massive for us. I don't know who I play, but I know it's one of the challenges because I only got the good teams left.
Good teams.
Yeah,
no disrespect to the other sides.
Oh, come on. Let's be honest there. I got teams in the playoff chase. It's not a loss, but it's not great.
Well, let's see what that does. A lot of 0s and 2s we've seen there. So we have Badgers 0, Celtics 2, Stanley 2, Triple P 0, Gazelles 0, Dragons 1, Burn 2, Fulchester 0, Vikings 0, Coast 0, Casuals 0, Haggis 0, and Rose 2, Astor 0. That means congratulations to Northern Burn and to East Coast on collecting the first cues of the season. Burn now top, a point ahead of Coast. Vikings, you find yourself 5 points off Coast now with 2 to play. Haggis and Dragons a further point behind you, Jens. And Casuals make up the top 6 on 38. Then we've got Gazelles 37, Fulchester 35, Celtics just about hanging in there on 34, but it looks really difficult for them. And then the fixtures, let's have a look how that, let's just confirm the bottom of the table there. So we've got Stanley 29, Triple P 24, Rose 21, and Asta 13. So fixtures, let's see who's got who. So Dragons Vikings next up. Casuals, you'd imagine, should get a result against Asta. Dragons Vikings is huge. Coast should get a result against Stanley if you're going purely on table position. Fulchester have to beat Rose to stand any chance whatsoever. Haggis host Gazelles. That game is massive. Absolutely massive, Haggis Gazelles. Triple P host Badgers in an absolute nothing fixture. And Celtics, Celtics have to beat Burn if they're going to stand any chance. But even a win, if other results go against them, will mean their season is over. I said there, Haggis Gazelles is the massive game on Thursday. Would you agree with that, Jens?
Yeah, along with the Dragons against us. Two absolutely massive games.
And then we conclude the season with Coast against Dragons could be huge. Gazelles, again, should be beating Asta. Burn should be beating Triple P. Vikings, Haggis. Casuals, Fulchester. The end of the season, if the table stays as tight as it is, the final game of the season is going to be superb as well. Rose again. I mean, if Celtics are still somehow in it, even that game will have something on it. 2 games to go, Jens. I'm going to ask you, who, we know Burn and Coast are there. Who are the other 4?
Looking at that, I think Dragons are going to make it. I don't think I'm going to beat Dragons away from home. Casuals are going to beat Aster and probably going to make it as well. And it's really, really difficult to say. It's between us, Gazelles, and Fulchester, really, for the 2 last spots. I don't think Celtics are going to... I think White Rose can beat Celtics the last game anyways, if they win against Burn, which I don't think they will. So I do think Casuals and Dragons are going to make it. And it's between Haggis, Gazelles, and ourselves for the last 2 spots.
So Haggis, Dragons, Casuals all making it, and it between you, Gazelles, and Fulchester for the other position. It is all set up beautifully. 1 more week in our terms, 2 more game weeks before we know. And then obviously anyone who finishes below the dotted line, to keep them interested during the playoff campaign, will be entered into the Cmsl Shield. Straight knockout competition during the playoff fixtures. Jens, thank you very much for joining me. The results may not have wielded the amount of goals we would have hoped, but it was tense, it was tight, and ultimately things continue to change game by game. Thank you. Any final comments from you before we say goodnight?
No, just thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing us to have this amazing entertainment in a otherwise pretty boring life. So well played, mate.
Thank you very much. The Alfbridge Shield asks mine. Quite possibly, I might change the name of it. But for myself, Jens, you've been an absolute dream to present this with tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to everyone in the chat. We will see you again on Thursday. If you'd like to be on co-coms for the penultimate game of the season, please do let me know. Just drop me a message to confirm. But that is it. Until Thursday, from me and from Jens, good night.